Good morning. I am Bhavana from Department of Law, Jagannath University. Today we will be discussing constitutional values, which is a part of value-added courses for various departments. And today we will be discussing Unit 1. So first, we will be discussing what is an introduction of the Indian Constitution values. As we all know, it is a soul or the foundation of the law domain system of a country, which the Indian Constitution is a supreme law of India, providing the framework for its governance and defining the rights and responsibilities of its citizens. It was adopted on November 26, 1949. Initially, we have framed our constitution on 26 November and it was completed by then, but we have not accepted and made it mandatory for the whole country, but we have made it circulated in our whole country on January 26, 1950, which we also celebrate as a Republic Day of our country, and came into effect as in January 26, 1950, making India's transition to a sovereign democratic republic. The Constitution is a comprehensive document that outlines the structure of government, fundamental rights, directive principles, and various other provisions. It reflects the aspirations and values of Indian people, emphasizing principles such as sovereignty, socialism, secularism, and democracy. The Indian Constitution has played a crucial role in shaping the nation's democratic framework, ensuring equality, justice, and the protection of individual freedom for its diverse population. We cannot deny the fact that the constitution which came in effect after it made so many differences in our whole country, and before that we had been lacking out from various domains, various areas where we were reflecting our social diversities and much more. Then it comes to the preamble, which is a framework or the foundation of any document, you can say. And if I read out, the preamble is: we, the people of India, having solemnly resolved to constitute India into a sovereign, socialist, secular, and democratic republic. These four words were added in 42nd Amendment, and it also known as the mini constitution of India, because it was one of these four words are very important words for the constitution and make a huge difference in the preamble. And to secure to all its citizens justice, social, economic, and political, liberty of thought, expression, belief, faith, and worship, equality of status and of opportunity, and fraternity, assuring the dignity of the individual and the unity and integrity of the nation. In our Constituent Assembly, these 26 day of November 1949 do hereby adopt, enact, and give to ourselves this constitution. This was our preamble, but it has been enacted time to time, and the interpretations have been very diverse, and people have interpreted it by their own mindsets, but the main soul and the nature of the constitution does not change. If I talk about the highlights of preamble: sovereign, socialist, secular, and democratic republic, which was added in 42nd Amendment later on; justice, liberty, equality, and fraternity; social, economic, and political justice, which is much needed in the society. Without this, we are a hollow; and protection of individual rights and freedoms; unity and integrity of a nation, which is very necessary because we are a sovereign country. Without unity and integrity, we are nothing. These concise highlight captures the essence of the preamble, outlining the key aspect of India's democratic and inclusive framework, emphasizing principles of justice, liberty, equality, and fraternity, and emphasizing the commitment to social welfare and national unity. This was an highlight for the preamble, but we will discuss more in detail about the sovereign, socialism, secular, and democratic republic. So, what is sovereign? Sovereign is a country or a nation which proves that govern itself, and they have their own government and which works for the people. and it is more focused toward the making decision without any external disturbance or external inflammation of any people or society, rather than they more have a full control over the whole society, whole governing body. So, India is a sovereign state, of course, which means it has the power to govern itself and make decisions without any external interference. The Indian government has full control over its internal and external affairs as well. Next is socialist. Of course, India has a very socialist approach, and India is more on the social and economical approach. And we are the one who takes, the government who takes, keep on taking measures regarding the equality and making the balance between the society regarding these all these problems which come and goes, and reduce the inequality and ensures the welfare of all its citizens. It promotes social justice, equitable resource distribution of resources, and the upliftment of marginalized section of society. And we are witness of various policies and various framework made by government regarding the upliftment of society of all these stigmas, all these inequalities which are happening, and still we are struggling with some of those, and we have been accomplished and empowered some of the inequalities, and we have laid them down. And secular, India is a secular country, which means it treats all religion equally and does not favor or discriminate against any particular religion. And this, particularly this word which is added with our name, India, secularism, is one of the unique thing we have with our attached to our country. The state maintains a neutral stance and respect the freedom of religion of all individuals, and we actually do that, and we our laws also speaks the same. Democratic republic, India is a democratic republic where the power is vested in the hands of the people. The citizens exercise their right to vote, elect representatives who govern on their behalf. The government operates under a constitution that guarantees fundamental rights, equality and justice for all. If we talk about the right of suffrage, we all have right to vote at the age of 18, and it has been given to us after a democratic government made up, and still we enjoy that right. So, what is the nature of Indian constitution? Indian constitution is a very wide constitution. It is one of the lengthiest constitution of the world, and we are proudly says that the countries who are getting developed these days adopt so many things from our developed or lengthiest constitution. So, first point is this only, lengthy and detailed. It is one of the written longest written constitution. If I talk about US also, international perspective, US also has very lengthy constitution, but their constitution is not written, and still we are the first among the written constitution, lengthiest, and it has a very comprehensive document with numerous articles, schedules and amendment. If I talk about the articles amendment which were initially enacted in 1949, so they were around 395 articles, but right now we have 448 articles. We have made it 106 amendment in our constitutions so far, and we have 12 schedules and 25 parts. Flexible and evolving, we allow for amendments, of course, to accommodate changing needs and societal development. It is one of the very important feature of our constitution which allows an amendment to come in and reflects the evolving aspirants and requirement of the nation. With the changing world and society, we keep on taking the things we should need to get change in our constitution, and we keep on removing things also which is no needed longer. Federal system, our division of powers between the central government and state. We have a separation between the powers in a government, outlines the distribution of power and responsibilities. Fundamental rights which is given to all the citizens, and some of them are right to speech, religion, right to life, personal liberty, equality, privacy and many more. Directive principle and state policies, it is also one of the very unique feature of our constitution which states or give a guidelines to government to promote social and economic and political justice among the citizens, and performs an obligatory duty towards the citizen of out of morality and political integrity. Next is independent judiciary, establish an independent judiciary as a separate branch of government Role in interpreting and safeguarding the constitution, protecting citizens' right. It is more focused toward getting the justice out of the problems. Secular and democratic, we have discussed before also. We uphold the principle of secularism because we really emphasizing on these terms that we are not discriminating on based of any religion and caste system, and give all equal treatment to all religion. We are not biased. Ensures democratic governance through fair and free elections and representative institutions. So, if I talk about further, we have talked about the preamble, we have talked about the what are the natures of constitution and what is it is made up of. So, what is the outline? But the bodies who govern this or who regulates this are the government of India, and which is also divided in three parts, which is first is legislature, second is executive, and third is judiciary. So, if I talk about the legislatory part, and we also have a federal government where we separate our powers between the state and union, which is central body and state body, and we have made three lists also, out of which that we have some lists are between the concurrent list, some are in the state, some are in the union, where we have divided the law making bodies topics or subject matter from which the government or the parliament will make laws out of it. So, if I talk about legislature, parliament, it is a bicameral legislature consisting of Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha, and state legislature is a unicameral or bicameral also, which we can have a legislative council as well. Legislative functions, law making and budget approval, oversight and accountability, scrutiny of the executive branch and holding the government accountable. This is their oversight. They look after the executive branches and they are accountable for any offices they are holding, means the government offices or the position they are holding, they are accountable for that. Representations, member represent their interest, the interest of their constituencies. Every member who belong to a particular area or a place of the nation, they always represent their areas and consider their problems at the state or union level and acknowledge them. Role in governance, crucial in democratic decision making at the national and state level, of course. Interrelationship with executive, government is accountable to the legislative. Of course, executive also plays a very important role regarding the legislative body, but legislative body is the one who makes the decision and who are the decision making body. So, executive bodies must have a good relationship with the legislature, without that they cannot execute their decisions. Next is union and state executive, and union and state executive bodies are regulated by different persons and different position holders. The union executive heads are the president and the prime minister, who is the head of the government and who is also the head of the council of ministers. Next is state executive. The head of the state is known as a governor, and the chief minister is the head of the state, who is also the head of the council of ministers of the particular state. Executive powers, administration of central and state governments respectively, appointment and tenure, president, governors appointment, prime minister and chief minister appointed by the president and governor. There is a full procedure is given for the all the executive members. So, it is written in the constitution. Council of ministers assist and advise the respective heads of the executive. So, the ultimate decision is of president and governor, but they get advised by their councils, and the councils are headed by the prime minister and the chief minister. Without their recommendation, they cannot make any decisions. What is the relationship between legislature? Likewise, executive body had a relationship with legislature. Executive body also has a vice versa relationship with legislative body. Members of the executive also hold position in the parliament or state legislature. Of course, they are the part of this body. So, the regulations and the law making and executive bodies regulate very smoothly. Functions, implementation of policies, administration of laws and governance at the central and state level. Next is judiciary, which is known as the autonomous branch, but by far we have been failing in this criteria. Independent judiciary, separate and autonomous branch, we have made it an autonomous branch of government. Supreme Court is the highest judiciary government, judicial authority of the government, which is in our capital right now in New Delhi, interprets the constitution and resolves the disputes. High courts, highest judicial authority in each state, handles state levels legal matter. Every state had their own high courts, and some states who have very low population merge with different states also. District courts handle civil and criminal matters at the district level. Judicial independence, judges are appointed based on merit and scrutiny of tenure. Adjudication, courts interpret and apply laws, protect right and ensures justice. Judicial review is also one of the very important feature of a constitution, where power of the judiciary to review the constitutionality of laws and government action. So, judiciary keeps an eye on these things, that whether legislative body or executive body is taking or making right decisions or not. Hierarchy, a hierarchical structure with the Supreme Court at the top and followed by high courts and district court as such. So, what are the challenges of the separation of power in India context? If we have talked about the system of the constitution, how it functions, how it make laws, how it execute, and how we review the decisions or law which we have made. But of course, there are some challenges which are faced by the government of India, or the separation of powers or judiciary. So, one of those are overlapping roles. So, we keep on overlapping the roles of different bodies, because of which the autonomous bodies cannot enjoy their supremacy, or we could say the power and roles are not executed well, and lack of judicial autonomy. And as I have told earlier also, judiciary is intended to be independent, but the factors like political influence, executive interference, delays in judicial appointments affects its autonomy and impartiality. Executive control over legislature, the ruling party or coalition often holds a significant influence over the legislative branch. They keep on influencing the branches and hinder the legislative branch's ability to act as a check on the executive, compromising the separation of power. They keep on doing this. Legislative differences to the executive. The legislature may sometimes differ to the executive branch, limiting its role in scrutinizing and holding the executive accountable. This undermines the check and balances envisioned in the separation of powers, role of money and power. The legislative deference to the executive is quite understood, that it limited to the branch and scrutinized the offices and the powers of an executive accountable body. And role of money and power, which is, we all know, it's greatly influenced in this century, this 22nd century, we are 21st century, I'm so sorry, highly influenced by it, and vested interest more on the functioning of branch rather than we are more on the law making or money making body. And it in compromise independence of Indian integrity of the judiciary and all the other bodies also. Judicial activism and judicial restraint. The judiciary exercise of judicial activism, where it takes an active role in shaping public policy, can blur the boundaries of separation of powers. Balancing judicial activism with judicial restraint is a challenge. Imbalance of power, the concentration of power within one branch, such as an over powerful executive, can undermine the check and balances essential for effective powers and separations. Thank you.